On the day Nirmala Sitharaman took charge as the new finance minister in the second innings of the Narendra Modi government, official data showed Indian economy decelerated in the fourth quarter of 2018-19 to 5.8% against 6.6% in the third quarter. For 2018-19, GDP growth rate was revised downwards to 6.8% from 7% estimated earlier. The RBI, in its bi-monthly monetary policy review in April, had lowered its GDP growth projection to 7.2% in 2019-20 from 7.4%. Citing evenly balanced risks, the RBI noted that it expects GDP to grow in the range of 6.8 to 7.1% in the first half of the current financial year and 7.3% to 7.4% in the second half. Now, the Central Statistics Office had earlier also projected GDP growth to average at 7.2% in the financial year 2018-19. Expectations on economic reforms went up significantly after Modi returned to power with a mandate even bigger than in 2014. Now, to talk about this, we have with us Mr. Akhilesh Bhargav, our business editor, whom we talked to over phone. He had told us what does this GDP figure means. Let us hear him.
Sir, our GDP is at a 5-year low, and
Right.
we have also lost the tag of fastest growing economy to China. So what is the reason of this?
Aarti, there are a couple of issues on this point. The first is, let me tell you, so far, till the time the elections were not over, the government was completely unwilling to accept the reality on our economy. And now see, once the elections are over, all the news that we knew which are not to the government's comfort, are now officially coming out. If GDP has now come down to 5.8%, which is a 5-year low, which is what the government is admitting, then they also accepted that unemployment is at a 45-year low. A figure that they were denying when it was announced in January has now got accepted. So the first thing is, with no political compulsions, the government is now willing to accept the reality. But the reasons were very obvious. In the month of March, consumer spending has come down. In fact, it has dipped, which is, not a normal thing for India. And the other thing is government spending had also been pruned in order to balance the budget figures. So quarterly growth of the GDP was bound to come down. The worrisome factor, according to us, is it's not because of what we call short-term reasons, it's because of long-term reasons, and the new finance minister has got her hands full.
So Nirmala Sitharaman has, as you said, has just taken charge of the finance ministry. In the previous term of Arun Jaitley, we saw that a lot of problems he faced as finance minister. Definitely not a bed of roses for Nirmala Sitharaman. What do you expect? What are the challenges in front of her right now?
See, Aarti, Arun Jaitley, he took charge at a time when he had problems given by the UPA 2 to him, which was, there was a policy paralysis, GDP growth had come down, there was no confidence in India, FDI had come down. Nirmala Sitharaman comes in with a bigger bunch of problems, and they are created by themselves, so there is nobody else but to blame. And the immediate issue she will have to attend, according to me, the first one is confidence has to be restored in the Indian economy. Investment is falling. It has been going down. It's at a 30-year low. Companies are not willing to invest. Consumer spending has gone down. Household income has gone down. The rural sector is in a stress. The SME sector has been struggling. I mean, there are too many issues. All these macro fundamentals, as we call them, are deteriorating. And to top it, the treasury is not in the best of shape because of tax collections having come down. So she gets into a very hot seat, according to me.
So definitely, sir, this is the situation right now. And if we talk about India's tag of fastest growing economy, now that we have lost it to China, in terms of China and India's competition, so where do you think India will stand?
See, in fact, India has one of the best times compared to all the recent years, only because of the US-China trade war going on. The whole world believes that India can occupy the space which China will cede because of the huge tariffs that are getting proposed to be or threatened to be imposed by Trump on Chinese exports. But are we really geared up for it? That's a question mark again the world asks. And if we don't take the best advantage of this opportunity, you can be sure India's growth rate will keep continuing patchy like this, sometimes in one quarter up, in another quarter down. But to answer your question, great moment for India to actually take the best advantage of this Trump tariff war and go far ahead of China. We hope the government does that.
So what policies do India need at this moment to revive the economy?
See, India needs measures in a number of fronts. Let me first tell you, we need what are called long-term structural reforms, which have been pending for the last 3 decades. The first one has to do with we need easier labor policies. So we need labor reforms. We need land reforms because it's very difficult for a large industry to set itself up in India because land is not easy to come by. So we need land reforms. We also need the government to get out of being in business. That is, we need to privatize PSUs and not do a sham of disinvestment as the last Modi government did. And finally, we need to restore the confidence of the investor in India by improving the ease of doing business in the country, which has just not been done. So there is investment willing to come into India. India is a huge market, but if we don't make it easy for the investor or we don't make the investor comfortable with his investment, it will not come in.
Now, the signs of economic slowdown have been visible since last year when GDP growth was at 6.6% in October-December 2018 quarter. The national income data have reinforced deceleration signs that were emanating from a slew of shop-end data such as car and consumer goods sales, often seen as a proxy indicators to gauge trends in household spending. National income data showed that gross value added, that is GVA, which is GDP minus taxes, grew 5.7% in January-March 2019. From it was 7.9% in the summer quarter last year and 6.3% in October-December 2018. This GVA during 2018-19 grew 6.6% while it was 6.9% in 2017-18. GVA is considered to be more realistic proxy to measure economic activity. Now, the manufacturing sector grew 3.1% in January-March 2019 from 9.5% in the same quarter last year. For the whole year, the manufacturing sector stood at 6.9% in 2018-19 from 5.9% in 2017-18. Now, the factory output measured by the Index of Industrial Production, that is IIP, contracted in March 2019. The first time in 21 months, this shows declining momentum of both investment and consumption. Even core industries productions of steel, electricity, coal and cement are falling or have been stagnant in recent quarters. The agriculture sector, which has been hit by falling farm produce prices and flat income growth, stood at minus 0.1% in January-March 2019 and 2.9% in 2018-19. Fourth quarter corporate results have also shown a slowdown in profit growth across sectors. People are buying fewer cars and domestic sales, productions and exports of automobile reflected this deceleration. Similarly, growth in fast-moving consumer goods, that is FMCG, have also slowed down considerably in recent quarters, which is mirrored in slowing sales of consumer staples. Now, the first challenge for the government, of course, will be to arrest the slowdown and revive the economy. With annual income growth already at a 3-year low, many economists believe the slowdown in economic growth is structural, which predates demonetization and the goods and service tax, that is GST, which is rather than cyclical. So, as Mr. Bhargava said, India needs radically different economic policies to bring the country out of the economic slowdown. Will Nirmala Sitharaman be able to do that? We will have to wait and watch. Till then, stay tuned to HW News. Now you can also download our app on your Android Play Store and Apple Store.
Namaskar, this is Amitabh Bachchan. In India, 195.5 million people are insufficiently nourished. That's almost 14.8% of our population. It has been estimated that 1.4 tons of food goes waste every year against each hungry Indian. To help solve this issue, former Commissioner of Police D. Sivanandan has started the Roti Bank Foundation. If you have extra food during a celebration or a function, dial 86-555-80001 and Roti Bank will ensure the food doesn't go waste. They will make sure that the food reaches those who need it the most. It will allow those less fortunate ones to celebrate your joy. It takes 100 rupees to feed one child and 3,000 rupees to feed him for a full year. should you wish to make a monetary donation, you can make one through www.rotibankindia.org or hashtag Roti Bachao Bhuk Mitao. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.